Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this video is a quick preview and prediction I guess for Liam Smith versus Josh Kelly. I aim to do prediction videos for all of the fights on the Wembley card, aside from the Mark Chamberlain fight. Liam Smith versus Josh Kelly, in my opinion, a fight that kind of came out of nowhere, but a fight in which I am, to a degree, looking forward to. Now, as soon as this fight got made, the initial reaction that I saw online was Liam Smith wins this fight comfortably. Liam Smith, far more experienced, far more proven at a higher level. This one basically is a foregone conclusion. That was the impression I got from a lot of people. However, I'm not as convinced about that as a lot of people are. Hence why I find this fight interesting. If you were to ask about this fight 2 to 3, 4 years ago, then yes, I would agree with Liam Smith. Big favourite. You know, I'd be very confident in picking Liam Smith to win. However, you know, Liam Smith now has been a pro for 16 years. Turned pro in 2008. He's had a total of 38 fights, and in those fights have been some very hard bouts, you know. Obviously, in his last fight, back in September of last year, got stopped by Chris Eubank Jr. in a one-sided beatdown. Had that very hard fight with Jaime Munguia, hard fight with Magomed Kurbanov, the Canelo fight, the Liam Williams fights, etc. He's had some very hard fights throughout his career, Liam Smith. And, you know, 36 years old now, I think he's definitely slowing down. I don't think he's the fighter he was a few years ago, to tell you the truth. I think the first Eubank fight was his last hurrah, so to speak, at any real level. I don't think he'll be troubling sort of world level, fringe world level again, to be honest. And Liam Smith's style, I don't think ages particularly well. Once a fighter with his style is on the slide, I think it's obvious to see. And there are certain things that give those guys trouble, one being movement and athleticism. And for all of Josh Kelly's faults, of which there are many, one thing we can't say is that he's not talented from an athletic standpoint. He's very explosive, he's very quick, both in terms of hand speed and foot speed and reactions. A lot of technical flaws, I get it, but in terms of just speed, athleticism, things of that nature, Josh Kelly is he's certainly a very talented athlete. And I know this fight's at 160. Josh Kelly started at welterweight, then fought at 154 for a bit. Now he's at 160. I don't think that's really going to affect him all that much in this bout. Not in terms of how he fights anyway. I don't think his speed is going to be drastically affected. You know, Kelly is cutting less weight to make this fight. You'd imagine he's got more in the tank. He's the younger man. I think he's certainly going to have the speed advantage on Liam Smith, both in terms of hand speed and foot speed. And again, considering he's cutting less weight, I wouldn't be surprised if he's even more sharp than we're used to seeing. Liam Smith has attributes that really trouble Josh Kelly, to a degree. We know that Josh Kelly is susceptible to pressure. We saw that in the amateurs and obviously in the pros against David Avanesian. But the difference between Liam Smith and an Avanesian type, Liam Smith is a lot more cerebral with his pressure. He's a lot more workmanlike with his pressure. He doesn't sell out the way Avanesian does. Avanesian really does go for it, even in fights where he's outmatched, like against Jaron Ennis quite recently. You know, Avanesian is 100 miles an hour pressure, whereas Liam Smith is more jab, jab, high guard, jab, jab. He'll kind of try and slowly work his way into the fight before slowly turning up the pressure round by round. He's technically quite astute with that guard and the jab. And everything comes off that jab with Liam Smith from a pressure perspective. He uses that jab to measure. He uses that jab to close the distance. And yeah, he's a technically astute guy who does the basics well. But he's not going to pose that same sort of problem that Avanesian did in terms of like being 100 miles an hour right from round one. That's not going to happen. And I actually think that in and of itself is going to be a pretty big factor in this fight. because I think that's going to give Josh Kelly the opportunity to win early rounds when he's really fresh, when he's moving his feet, when he's moving his head, when he's moving his hands. He's got such a speed advantage on Liam Smith. And I know Josh Kelly doesn't always do it with technical proficiency, but I think the speed alone in this fight is going to cause Liam Smith a hell of a lot of trouble. I really do. And early on, I expect Josh Kelly to win the early rounds, to be honest with you. Probing with his jab, firing around the side of Liam Smith's guard, maybe going downstairs with the left hook to the body. What he can't do is hold his feet early on. Well, he can't hold his feet throughout this fight. He needs to keep those feet moving, keep Liam Smith turning, because quite frankly, when Liam Smith is forced to chase a fight, he's not that good at punching on the front foot. He's good at when you stand your ground with him, when you hold your feet, or when you're pushed against the ropes or the corner. That's when Liam Smith can really go through the gears and work you over. But when he's punching on the front foot, aside from his jab, Liam Smith isn't that great at doing it. He's not a great front foot fighter in that sense. I know he's aggressive, but he's not a good aggressive fighter in terms of punching on the front foot. He needs to get you stationary. So Kelly needs to be utilising his foot speed, in particular, the movement, the hand speed, and changing angles on Liam Smith. Pretty simple. Basically, trying to keep Liam Smith in a position where he can't punch or can't punch effectively. I actually think stylistically this isn't a good fight for Liam Smith. Liam Smith's style isn't that effective against movement. And we saw that recently in the second Eubank Jr. fight. When Eubank Jr. was offering movement, Liam Smith had no idea. And aside from Eubank, he's not really fought any movers recently or guys who can move. But if you go back early in his career, Liam Smith, he kind of struggled against John Thompson when he won his title. He kind of struggled way back in the day against Eric Ochieng, or Ochieng, way back when. This was back in 2013. But he's not fought many movers in his career, Liam Smith. But when he has, he's kind of struggled a little bit. I think Josh Kelly's movement, his speed, his freshness going into this fight, possibly his desire, may be too much for Liam. Liam needs to be rough and ready, obviously. He needs to be working that body in particular to slow that movement down, to try and slow that speed down. But again, I think stylistically this one's a bad one for Liam Smith. I really do. And I know Liam Smith is the favourite. I know most people are picking him, but I look at this fight and I'm thinking this is the tough one, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting fight, really, because if Josh Kelly loses, where does he go? If Liam Smith loses, his career's over, right? I mean, when you look at the fight, it's got some interesting dynamics. It's basically a loser leaves town fight. And with that being said, I'm actually picking Josh Kelly on points for the upset. Josh Kelly on points for me. The only thing I'm worried about is that it's 12 rounds. And yeah, Josh Kelly could flag in the last sort of 4-5. But is Liam Smith going to apply that type of pressure to where Josh Kelly does gas? Not sure. I'm not sure he's got it in him anymore, to be honest. But I'm intrigued by this fight for some reason. I quite like it. Anyway, I've got the upset here. Josh Kelly on points for me. Share your thoughts below. How do you see this fight going? Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.